Yo, I'm Drnkie.
I'm The Flood.
And welcome to the Fortnite update, where we discuss all the news, patch notes, and esports related to Fortnite. It is April 4th. This is episode 32 of the podcast, and Strafesh0t is our guest. All right, let's start the show. All right, our guest this week is Liquid's very own Strafesh0t. Strafesh0t, welcome to the Fortnite update, man.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Welcome, man. I'm excited to have you.
Yeah, we are definitely excited to have you to talk about all the competitive stuff that is coming to Fortnite to like the more casual crowd. But first, let's get the audience to like get to know you. How'd you get started with Fortnite? How'd you get started with competitive mode? Like, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, getting into Fortnite honestly was pretty easy. Lyndon FPS was actually my like igniter. I was watching him play, and he's a maniac, so he made it look really fun, you know. And I was like kind of blown away when I was watching him, because third person games never really struck me because of the whole like, if you get shot you can just hide behind cover thing. And I saw him literally busting through walls and killing people, and I'm like, whoa, this is wild. I'm like, no one's gonna be able to stop this man, you know. And
That's awesome.
I was just really drawn into it. So immediately I was like, man, how do I get in the game? So as soon as I figured that out, I downloaded the game immediately, got in. I was honestly hooked like right away. I was like, wow, this is actually really fun. Even though it looked like really cartoony or you know, looked a certain way, I was like, it doesn't matter. This is like actually really fun and has a really good chance of maybe going somewhere. So I was friends with Chap and Poach before getting into Fortnite, and you know, we played a lot of games together, and we always were like the tryhards, dude. We were soccer skins before soccer skins came out.
Nice. Yeah.
You know,
Just sweating at home. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, in any game, you know, we were always like playing to the meta of every game, and you know, just doing anything we can to be the top players. And in this game, man, I don't know, we just pumped in a ton of time. You know, as soon as some patches came around and some quality of life improvements were being made, and leaderboards came out, we just kept grinding. And then it was the day that TSM was like, hey, we're going to come out with a team. You know, they were like the first org to drop a team, and we're like, wait, this can actually really go somewhere. And we were doing super good on the leaderboards, and Poach was actually at the time still a little iffy on wanting to go full time on this game. He kind of like had other ambitions, and we pulled him in and we started playing it, and we were really good together. And before you know it, man, you know, we were screaming, and the first Discord was set up, and we're fighting like the first variation of the phase roster for squads. And little by little, man, you know, we kept doing very well in the scrims, and then we just got noticed, man. And now we're kind of here where we are. We got enough attention to the point where Liquid saw us, and we were able to communicate with them, and now, you know, feels like home, dude. Now we're here at this point.
That's
we
awesome.
That is
That's
great,
really
man.
Cool.
So let's get into patch 8.2's content update real quick. This is a
Great.
bit light, not, you know, we don't got much to talk about for this one.
Well, it's the content. It's the TikTok.
Yeah. Boombo has been added to the game. It fires arrows with a shotgun shell tip, which explodes on impact. It uses a shotgun ammo. The longer you hold the fire keybind down, the faster the shot will go. Explosive damage is consistent regardless of the power of the shot, and the Boombo will achieve maximum power after 1.6 seconds of charging. Base damage of 15 with a direct hit with a headshot multiplier of 2, and then explosive 100 damage after that. Strafesh0t, what do you think about the Boombo being added to the game?
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's just another content weapon added, man. I mean, I think this really caters to like the casual crowd. On a competitive side, I think this has no place, but I think like for the actual all around game, yeah, I think this is fun. You know, I think it's a cool addition. It adds more content for streamers to play around with, and it helps keep like things fresh. So, I mean, that's a positive note for it. It's nice that they add items like this that we can keep messing around with, but I think competitively, no. I think competitively, this is awful. Just delete.
I generally
Flood?
agree with that, man. Every time I've picked it up, I'm like, why didn't I just take the sniper? What was I doing? What was I thinking? Like, it seems like it's such a meme, but it actually feels balanced in a way that like it's not overpowered. It's not smashing through build like crazy. It's not one-shot killing people. So it's not really like hurting anyone who's playing competitively. It's more just if you want to use it to meme around and feel like you're a Robin Hood or something, you can feel cool like that. That's neat. But otherwise, it's man, it's fun to use when it hits, but I'd rather use a bolt, like.
Yeah, I actually really love this item. I think its balance kind of weird. I think they're very cautious about like doing items now that destroy a lot of builds. It's very weird to me that this boom bow does less explosive damage to walls than like a deagle would do, right? That just kind of feels weird to me. It would feel like the boom bow and the heavy sniper honestly should swap like structure damage. I think like they want to make this weapon to be a little bit more, in the meta or whatever. I think if they make the boom bow do like more explosive damage to structures versus the heavy sniper coming back down, that's the only way I see it coming into any kind of meta.
I kind of like the mentality that they're bringing in a gun that's not super overpowered to start, though. That's like, let's start slow and then maybe build it up if people like it. I think I'd rather have them have this mentality. Also, weird. This is the first time they've added a new gun where I haven't seen it on like every floor loot spawn everywhere for every like, just, every time there's a new item, it's everywhere. I played 2.5 hours without seeing one. And then all of a sudden I started finding them everywhere. But I was like, at first I was like, is this even real? Was this an April Fool's joke? Like, where are these things? But
with us in competitive mode, it actually is broken.
Is it?
Yes, it has its place, and it's a little ridiculous, especially if you have high ground. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you break a baller with the bow, and it does 100 damage instantly to the player. So
that's not broken, it's a counter.
So if you get right now what it really is when the ballers are running around, you can communicate what baller you want to focus with your teammate, and the guy with the bow is ready while the other teammate gets it down to that 100 health pool threshold, and you bow it, and boom, you instantly have your initiating damage on that player, and you can just W key him because he's got no health, and he might even only have 50 health because it's very common that players are running around with 150.
Yeah, that makes intuitive sense to me. I had a feeling it'd be good for vehicles, but as a primarily solo player, I've never really had much chance or opportunity to use it, and I miss my shots a lot, so let's not talk about that. So that's interesting, but I like that idea that it could be just like a counter to the ball almost. That honestly is good.
It also is coupled with the heavy sniper. Instead of using double heavy sniper, which is still better in my opinion, but you can heavy bow people, and it's quite broken as well because you're going to put an explosive round in the 1x1 instead of just a bullet. So it's very common right now for scrims or arenas end game to have your wall heavy sniped and an explosive bow shot go in at the exact same time.
Okay, that's
dirty. I like it.
That's a competitive take that I don't know if I like it or not, but it's kind of scary at the same time.
Yeah,
we don't like it.
I'm playing a different Fortnite over here.
Not a fan. Not a fan of it, man. And then once they know that they got you, dude, it's just spam because it's shotgun ammo, and you have such an abundance of shotgun ammo that you could just spam it.
All right, so that was the only thing that was really in the content update for 8.2. So let's move on to a competitive Fortnite stage development that was released by Epic yesterday on the 3rd. Before we get into what really is causing the controversy, a couple of small minor things in this. First thing, in the arena mode, they understand that the queue times is a big deal, and they're looking at ways to implement you going into the creative island and getting into separate games while you're waiting in queues. That's a positive thing, right, guys? Positive?
Yeah, absolutely.
After that, they talk about performance improvements. They are well aware that we are all getting 30, 40 FPS at end games in the arena. In late game, once you get 30 people into the final circles, it gets really rough. So they're hoping to help us out. That's positive, right, guys? Positive stuff.
Woo!
Yay!
Yeah, let's go.
All right. And then next, under the stretch resolution, I quote from the article.
Oh, sorry.
In the near future, we will be updating how we handle custom resolutions on PC. When using custom resolution, vertical FOV will be locked, horizontal FOV will be unlocked in all modes, but in competitive playlists, the arena and in-game tournaments, we will be locking the aspect ratio to 16:9. And then tears of the entire Fortnite Pro community washed over Twitter. Like,
oh man, did Twitter blow up?
So, Strafe, you're the pro player. I want to get your take on the stretch res, change.
Yeah, I think. Well, for one, man, I think Fortnite just really loves bonfires. But yeah, no, this is awful. I think this is a step back. It doesn't make sense. We had good communications with them. I think, with the secret skirmish that came around, that was also a testing ground for these stretch reses, and they were allowing it. And then also the spectator system that had come around even before the secret skirmish, that was kind of like the hint towards them letting us know, like, hey, we know you want to play stretch, so this is what we did with our spectator system, so that way we don't have to see your stretch resolution. We can keep it native and on our end, and no one has to view it the way you do. So everything up until now has been nothing but the cookie crumb trail of, hey, stretch is going to be here, you'll be able to play stretch, we're going to allow it, like this will be a thing, we have a spectator system in place, we have done these test events and everything's fine. And then out of nowhere, 10 days before one of probably the biggest tournament in esports history, that they want to revert everything that you have been practicing on. And it's like they took away it all with no explanation. And now that we're being locked to 16:9, our muscle memory is trained on the stretch resolutions that we've been practicing on. 10 days before like a $30 million tournament's around the corner is kind of ridiculous. So it's very frustrating, because now you have to retrain that muscle memory, and you have to mess with your sensitivity again, because it is different. And you have to just relearn, essentially. And not only that, but like not just your muscle memory, but your vision is different. So it's like you're not used to any of this stuff anymore. Maybe when the game first came out, of course, but this just is a major disaster. And one of the things that's getting quoted a lot is that they had released a statement a long time ago that they, for the future of competitive events, that they will not. That they will give us like ample time to practice, to have a heads up as to what is going to happen in the tournaments. 10 days, if this is their idea of a heads up, 10 days is not enough. This is insane, dude. Like, I just don't get it. I'm baffled. I'm very baffled.
What's your take on it, Flood?
Yeah, I mean, I howled in laughter, I'm not gonna lie. Like, when I saw Twitter blowing up, it was hysterical to me, just because you could tell how outraged everyone was gonna be with this.
Yeah.
As Strafe said, they love bonfires. They just want to set a tire fire and watch the world burn, maybe. Oh, geez. Okay, so I've got a lot of conflicting thoughts as a Fortnite pleb here. I think that maybe this is to even out the crowd, right? Like to level the playing field. I'm wondering if maybe their first week of Arena, they had like actual analytical data that showed that there was a huge competitive advantage. Everyone was playing stretched, was winning way more. Maybe that was what, they're, oh man, this is actually a huge advantage. We didn't even realize. Maybe that was it. I don't know. Like, I want to know what the impetus was for this, because as Strafe says, 10 days seems, that's my biggest issue with this, is that it's that the timing is so, and the execution is so strange. We just had a secret skirmish where you were allowed to do it 10 days before a giant tournament. You're not allowed to do it. Like, I don't know what ample time actually is supposed to be, but 10 days seems a little light, my friends, a little bit light. But I do kind of like the idea that everyone will be on an even playing field. Eventually, I think all the stretch guys will get used to this, and I'm sorry that it has to be that way. Or the alternative would be, can we get an FOV slider so that everyone again has the option to play with an FOV that they want and that they prefer, and also just an FPS update, please, for the love of everything. So I don't know. I'm like, I've got a lot of mixed feelings. I think ultimately, like overall time, I think it's probably good for the game that everyone has to deal with the same situation, both console and PC, in terms of their field of view. But I feel like this was poorly timed.
I think the poorly timed is the biggest part for me, because I was absolutely shocked that they pulled this off on the Fortnite competitive community. Because I don't think it's shocking that they want everyone to play in the same aspect ratio. I don't think that's a shocking idea. I think what Strafe was getting at was like, it's 10 days before the tournament, and all of these, players have to relearn their muscle memory, have to relearn how to look at the game. how to move around in 1x1s and try to like be aware of what's around them. It's shocking that all these players have put in hours and hours and sacrifice time with their families and school to get good at this game and learn how to be professionals at this game at its peak. And then 10 days before the tournament, they are just like ripping the carpet out from underneath them and like knocking everyone on their ass. And honestly, it's, you know, you say everyone's on the same playing field. The players who didn't switch over to stretch and who were playing on native for the last year or whatever, now they're the ones with the competitive advantage. It just reeks of being amateur. You know, I hate to like say something negative about Epic and the people who work there, but it reeks of being amateur. These types of changes need to happen with tons of time before, you know, to give pros time to adjust and play at their peak. Because now we're just going to be watching tournaments as a spectator, which I am, of pros who are not playing at their best. And that's not a good thing for me, man. Like, I like to see pros playing at their best, and now I'm just not going to be able to see it. So as a spectator, I'm let down. Strafe, like, I know that, like, you said you don't know why Epic did this from what they're saying or whatever. What do you think is, like, the real underlying reasons of why they would do this?
I honestly, without them communicating to us, which has been like one of the more frustrating points of all this that's been happening, is that there's literally no communication. There's no answer. There's no post, you know, anywhere on Reddit or on Twitter of, look, we hear you. Let's talk about it. This is why we're making our change. Nothing. So them staying quiet is like another frustrating aspect to it all. But I mean, if I had to take like a wild shot in the dark, I mean, I guess it's because, you know, maybe that is it. They want a level playing field, or maybe their spectator system, they, you know, it's as we've seen in the past tournaments, it's very like laggy or delayed, or like there's really wonky stuff happening, and maybe everyone needs to be on the same resolution so that way they can kind of make changes to their spectator system so it's not as bad as it is. Because the spectator system used to be nice. It used to be smooth. It used to be on time. It wasn't desync. It was good. And then when they made the change to kind of accommodate us, then the spectator system literally just degraded every tournament. It just got worse and worse. It was so desynced. It was just so delayed, and everything was a mess. So I don't know. I mean, I have no idea why they would do this to us last minute. But like Flood said, I would suppose is to level the playing field. But, I mean, I didn't even think about it. To your point, Drnkie, is that it doesn't. People that stayed on native now have that upper hand.
I didn't really think about that. What would have been an appropriate amount of time? Like, you're coming from a competitive time, like, and you know how retraining muscle memory works as a competitor, and like how long does it take to get back in that muscle memory? How long will it take for these guys to get back onto, you know, top tier performance?
I honestly would have at least like a month, man, at least 30 days to let us get back into training. You know, it takes about a month to get into a habit, you know, and getting used to something. So if we could have gotten like at least 30 days with it, I still would have been like annoyed by the fact that we have to do it, but I'd be like, okay, I have a lot of time to practice, so that's fine. Yeah. I think the other thing that's really kind of hurt about it all is that this is the biggest tournament. This isn't just a 100K Lux Cup. This isn't just some, you know, weekend arena cup. This is for like everything. You know, whoever walks away from this is walking away not only with all the money from the tournament, they're walking away with everything. They're going to blow up on Twitter. They're going to blow up on Twitch. They're going to blow up on every social media platform. They literally just in one 5-hour span, because that's probably what it's going to be, 5-hour span of a tournament, this person is going to just skyrocket on all social medias, and they're set. Their career is made for them by winning this tournament. Not only will they have millions of dollars, they have tons of income on the plate right in front of them. If they want to take it, they just turn on that stream and boom, everyone's there. Everyone's going to want to watch.
This is the one that people quit their jobs for.
Yeah,
it really is, because the amount of money up or in this World Cup, like, it's just not life-changing money. It's like generational money. Like, you can really take that money and set yourself up for the rest of your life, and then like the people going forward, like if you do it right. This is generational money that you can be made, not just from the money won of the cup, but like Strafe is saying, from the income from like the brand you're building for yourself off of winning this stuff. Like, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, they should have given us more time with it. They should have given us the 30 days and let us run a few, cups and run a few minor tournaments and skirmishes or whatever with it and see how it goes. But you're going to toss this on a World Cup? Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. And I kind of want to unpack two ideas the Flood had about why they kind of are enforcing this native resolution or aspect ratio. The first one being console players. Now that the console players are on an even playing field with the PC players in terms of aspect ratio, how much validity do you think that has? Because to me, it seems crazy that we should act like a console player should ever be on the same level playing field as a PC player. And I'm not saying controller versus mouse keyboard. I'm saying console versus a PC. In what competitive game, like, do they have this much gall to say, like, yes, you on that console can play against some of the best, the most high-end PCs that have ever been built in the history ever?
Yeah, I don't see the correlation between the two. We've never really agreed that console should be fighting PC players as is. Like, that's like saying, put console against mobile. It's not exactly the same, but it's still another platform fighting another platform. It should be separated. Never agreed with it.
It's been a long issue with, like, everyone is like, oh, I want cross-platform, like on Apex or something. They're like, where's their cross-platform? But I don't feel like they realize how riddled with error and problems that is. Like, there's so many issues we have, like, with that. And I think it's because they want one big bombastic World Cup. They don't want to have, like, console cup and then PC cup, etc. But I mean, it's ice hockey versus field hockey. You know what I mean? Like, they're both competitive, great games, but they're different. They're like fundamentally there's differences, and there always will be. No matter how much you try to even the playing fields, there's going to be grass on the field here and not over here. Like, it's just different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then, like, the other idea that Flood brought up, which I thought, like, might have some good some good ground for stand on, because they look at all the stats, how many people are winning, what aspect resolution are they playing on while they're winning these games. I hope that's not what they did it on, because the people who are, like, winning these cups on these pop-up cups and these getting high up in the gauntlet and getting up high up in the arena, they're going to do it on native resolution or on stretch resolution. It's just the really good players preferred stretch because it's a better way to play. I don't think it's going to change a thing statistically about who's actually going to be winning these things over, like, a large sample size. Maybe in a World Cup tournament, like, when it's narrower over a large sample size, I don't think so at all, man.
Well, and that's why I would love to know what their back end data is. Like, I want to know what it is that they looked at. Like, what spreadsheet are they looking at that helps them make these decisions? And my other question, actually, and this is, again, why can't Epic, with all their insane prize money and insane financial success at this point, hire one of, like, the top esports pro guys? Like, poach someone from Team Liquid, poach someone from one of the big teams, one of the orgs. Like, why aren't they poaching someone to help them run this side of their business? Like, that I haven't figured that out yet. Is there not, like, and maybe there is someone really competent in there that just is making decisions we don't agree with. I don't know who's in that department, so I don't want to slander anyone, but what, I don't know, why aren't you poaching someone who's, like, the best and has all the experience in the world with this type of event and esport to run it in a way that the pros are going to be on board with? Like, I don't get that. As
a pro, Strafe, like, how do you feel about how many times Epic has just kind of, like, right before a big tournament been like, hey, what's up? Here's something that's game changing? Because at this point, it's been like every major tournament has had something that's completely flipped the meta and the comp scene on its head.
Yeah, it's extremely frustrating. I've talked about this before with some of the other guys, and maybe they didn't like fully disagree with what I said, but I can roll with it on this spectrum. Competitively, it is awful. It is the most disheartening, demotivating. It is soul crushing. You feel like everything you worked for is just worthless. You feel like your time is just getting, like, stepped on, and it just feels like disrespectful as a competitive player. But then I gotta say, okay, for example, like the Winter Skirmish was one of the biggest ones where the sword was in, right? That was one of the most game-breaking items. And that got thrown into the Winter Skirmish, like, kind of last minute. It was still in there for everyone. And, dude, I gotta say, though, I as someone outside watching it, I gotta say it was super funny. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
I was laughing hysterically. I thought it was chaos. It looked fun to watch just because I know how awful it was going to be for all those competitive players, and my heart went out to them. But at the same time, I'm watching this and I'm just dying of laughter, wondering who's going to be the next crowned king who gets to pick up the sword. Because this guy would go around flying around the map, and he would just slice up like 20 people, dude, and then he would die, and then everyone would like all run for the sword, dude. It was so funny to see a sword get dropped in the middle of all the pros because everyone's like, mine, you know, and then
So
everyone's
good.
diving for it, and yeah, it just created chaos. So I gotta say, like, entertainment value wise, I think, like, yeah, that's really cool. It was super fun to watch. I think it was hilarious, and that's great. But then when you break it down in like the reality of it, like that's very painful for those players. Like what those players went through in that winter skirmish was not fun. No one enjoyed that. That was terrible. It was disheartening. That was like they didn't look forward to the next tournament. It was very upsetting. So, I can see both sides. I can see where the entertainment is, but come on, man, like these poor people, they put in so much time into your game. Like, just you can't do that to
Fortnite's
them or
desire
us,
to
dude.
meme undercutting their competitive side a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, again, now we've got arena mode and we've got, as everyone loves to talk about, we haven't talked about this too much, the revert controversy, because regular solos, squads, and duos it's a very different game right now. It's back to old school Fortnite where you have to farm forever, you don't get siphon, etc. I'm wondering if maybe, again, this is kind of still catapulting on our past conversation about this, where it creates a different game, and I'm wondering if this is one more step in that direction, where what they're trying to do with arena is create a consistent competitive area where the other mode will become the casual meme area, and maybe over time what they're trying to do with arena and with the fixed field of view and fixed stuff is to create one more locked in experience that will eventually become a little less memey for actual competition. Whereas the regular Fortnite, quote, regular Fortnite, I suppose, because it's when you play it even now, it just feels like such a completely different game.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what they're trying to slowly do and lock in one game as this is competitive Fortnite and the other one is, I don't know, like
I would love that, right? Because I would love the arena mode to have like a competitive playlist that's like based on this is what we think Fortnite should be played competitively. But in their previous statements on why they've made these changes and why they don't separate, kind of like loot spawns and have different loot pools for competitive, is they've said, and this is kind of paraphrasing their sentiment, is that they wanted competitive Fortnite to showcase what Fortnite can be, right, for everybody. So this is Fortnite on its like highest scale, but it's still the same game you can play. But now that we have siphon mode, like segregated to arenas only, we're kind of away from that
already.
And while I would love to think that this is where it's going to go, I think that when they released arena mode, if that was their real intention, they would have had released a separate like loot pool that's nothing below green items, taking out some of the more overpowered items like RPGs and competitive stuff like that to make it more competitive. But now we just have a lack of siphon in the regular mode. And I think that if you are watching competitive Fortnite and that's what got you hooked into the game, you go to play arena or regular modes now, and you're just going to be completely just in the dark about what's going on. What do you think about the siphon changes, Strafe, from last week?
I have had, personally, I've had no motivation myself to play the game, that the actual like core of the game anymore outside of arena. And arena is tough too, just because that's a whole nother mess. But like taking away the siphon out of pubs, man, that was like a huge step back in my opinion. And not to mention, I have seen, I think I can count on my hand how many people I've seen say, no, I like, that they took away the siphon thing. It's crazy how much their feed on Twitter is flooded with everyone saying to revert, how much negativity there is. No one wants this. And there's still, again, no communication as to why, other than the most vague statement of unhealthy aggression. And that was it. But I don't know where they're pulling their stats from, but I'm just saying that in these pub games now, there's still the same amount of people, the first circle, second circle, third, fourth, fifth, you know, it's still the same amount of people dying. There's still the same amount of people left. And except this time you're just not rewarded for the kills. You know, I've seen games where people have tons of kills and then they have no shield, they have no health, they have nothing, they're just broke, even though they've killed all these, you know, people. The aggression is still there because it's a pub game. You know, it's there's nothing on the line. It's for fun. People are gonna get wild. People are gonna be crazy. That's just how people are playing the game. It's just the way it is. The Siphon didn't make that change. Siphon was just a nice, healthy benefit where you got rewarded for your kill, where you can continue fighting. You know, if you did kill someone, you know, it's like it was a nice flow for the game. And now that they took it out, everyone's like burning their Twitter to the ground of you know trying to get it reverted back. And they're just literally shunning us. So, like, they just don't even want to listen to it. So, no, I don't agree with the change. And for me as well, man, like, you know, you stream as well, and you know the pain. Like, I don't want to play Arena every single day or every single moment. I love playing competitively. But, man, it's so nice to take a break and go play with my, you know, my friends that don't play competitive. I want to jump into matches with my other buddies and just have fun with them casually. But, man, I cannot sit there and farm for 5 minutes, you know, tree after tree after tree and rock after rock after rock and you know, still have 0 mats and get into one fight and all those mats are gone. Yeah. So it's like, sure, I can't, man. I can't. It's so incredibly boring. The only time I hop on the game now is to practice and play Arena as almost serious as I could possibly take it for as long as I possibly could take it. I haven't played pubs since they removed Siphon. I can't. I have no motivation.
Yeah, I mean, when it was Arena, when it was just pop-ups, that was all I played because that was the best version of Fortnite. We didn't have Siphon, so like I'm actually on board with Siphon. I know I've been devil's advocating a lot for not against it, but like when it was just pop-ups, I literally would play the pop-up and be like, oh yes, I'm done Fortnite for the day. Like that was what I liked to play. I think it's the best version of the game. At the same time, I will say going back to reverted normal mode right now is weirdly fun. There's like a weird stress to running out of shields. It's stressful in like a really weird way, man. Like, I don't know. I can't believe that was the Fortnite that we played for so long. Like, you go in, you kill a couple people, you're like, oh my god, okay, now I'm just spending a whole mid game just trying to find heals. Like, it's ridiculous. But kind of fun.
Move on off the topic into like talking about arena mode. Like, someone retweeted this quote from somebody, and I think it applies perfectly why we should have Siphon or a version of it in pubs. It's like the player base has stepped forward. The game that we played in season 1 through season 6 or whatever, it's not that we're taking a step backwards. The entire community has gotten better, and it's gotten better to a point where the original way of playing Fortnite just kind of isn't fun anymore. You have to farm too much. People are like the entire player base is aggressive now. Everybody's W keying, and they can hit their shot more or less now. It's, you know, it doesn't take that much skill to play Fortnite at the end of the day. It's kind of an easy game in terms of shooting. You know, the complication comes from building and stuff, but the player base is so much better now than we used to play against. That pubs are just unenjoyable most of the time when you fight your 5th person and then the 6th person runs up with a great attack and hits you for 10 damage and gets the kill. And I know the game should be rewarding for everybody, but at this point it feels like it's just not rewarding at all.
Yeah, and my only other, again, caveat is I know, as Stray said, like, where are we getting these stats from? I want to know, because I'm wondering if we're all in a bubble where we only watch each other's Twitters. Like, it seems like all of Twitter blows up, but is there like a massive quiet population that is like maybe their stats are going up on regular mode because there's a billion, 15-year-olds and soccer moms that are playing right now? Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know. Like, is it a more enjoyable experience for them and we're just not hearing about it? And because we're in like a kind of a bubble of playing a lot of Fortnite, like I just want to know where they're making their decisions from. Like, maybe that's going on. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's because they don't release anything to us. They don't want to explain
these statistics.
Like, yeah, and you know,
I'm just so curious.
It's absolutely wild. Like, I wish so bad there was never a time that I wanted Apex and have released now instead of when it did, because when Apex released, man, we got everything we wanted. They handed the keys over to, like, please come back, you know, and they gave us everything we wanted, man. And that's when Siphon came to pubs. That's when they implemented it. And now the player base comes back because they're like, wow, okay, you're listening. Cool. This is awesome. All right. And now we're back. And here we are, dude. We're literally
Apex is waning. Here's your siphon.
History's repeating itself, and it's like, okay, well, we got him back, and Apex is having some difficulties, so like no one's running to Apex, so now there's like nothing, and now Fortnite's back to gatekeeping and just holding the cards close to their chest instead of being nice to us anymore.
Yeah.
So we need a new game to be released.
We do.
Post haste.
We need another Apex game, man.
Someone needs to drop a AAA title immediately.
Yeah, what are we doing? We gotta have these AAA titles ready to go for when Fortnite starts messing around.
We need AAA titles on the monthly, once a month. AAA title that threatens Fortnite once a month minimum.
Please help us.
We'll all buy it, I swear.
Let's start talking about the arena mode. And Flood, I want to start with you. We've been playing the arena for about a week. What have been your experiences and your initial take on the arena so far?
I'm loving it for the most part, honestly, and that was my caveat when they got rid of the siphon, is that, you know what, they gave me arena mode though, and that's the mode that I really, really wanted. I'm in kind of a sweet spot where I'm not quite as good as you guys, so I'm in like low division 6. I never have long queue times. My queue times are quick. I'm like 235 right now or something like that. And it's kind of a fun sweet spot where like my end games are really exciting and competitive and fun in a way that I'm not used to getting, because I don't really play scrims. So like when I get into there, I'm like, oh, this is like, it's very exciting for me. And there's lots of players and circles, and everyone's playing to a high degree, and everyone's stressing out the whole time in a really fun and exciting way. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm only playing solos so far. I haven't really played duos in it, but I'm honestly having fun. But it does. It wears you out faster, and I want to be able to go back to regular Fortnite. Even still, like even in my weird little bubble that I'm in, of, as I say, like I think I'm in the pocket of where the arena mode is like perfect. Like low division 6 is like, it's just minty, no long queue times, really perfect level of competition where you're still bopping some kids and getting bot. Like it's great. I don't know. But even then, I still get tired and want to just play like a little more relaxed sometimes. But I like it.
What about you, Strafesh0t? You're the competitive, what's the pro scene's take and your take on the arena mode so far?
It definitely isn't like catered, I think, competitively. I think it's definitely still catered to like casual, like kind of like you're having fun with it, and I think like they did a good job with that on that end. There's nothing that really separates like that top 1% of players from like the rest of the player base, and where we can fight it out, because I have so many people that are pretty much just casual friends that are like, they're not that far away from champ division, and it's really not that hard to get there. I mean, there's videos of people literally getting points from no kills because they just hide from one structure to another or bush, and then they get the placement points, and the placement points is at like top 25 or something like that. So you pretty much get your bus fare back, and then, hey, man, you get one kill. You're going to continuously move up, there's nothing that can really stop you.
Well, I tell my stream that all the time. If you want to get into Division 6, it's not that challenging. Like, it's very simple to do. As you say, like, placements are top 25 and you're gaining. As long as you're gaining points, you will eventually get there. Like, anyone can get to Division 6. And Division 6 is when you start paying a little bit more bus fare, and you'll start to see it actually taper off at least a little bit. And that's when it becomes actually competitive in terms of separating, as you say, like the top 1%ers and all those guys who start getting into the high Division 6 and get into champions, etc. To compare to the low guys who are always going to struggle at like 6-0 or 205 or whatever points. I think that Division 6 is where it actually becomes a competition, like sort of, and it's still like the low end of the actual competition in my mind.
Yeah. When it comes to me, because like I would have kind of placed myself in between the Flood and Strafesh0t. I'm by no means a professional player, but I play the game way too much.
Twice retired
professional Fortnite player. I have played the skirmishes. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I just think I hate it for a ranked mode. I think that they, like for my points, just to kind of like put you where I am, I'm like 5 points away from champions. And it's because I got bored with it as a ranked mode. I think what they did is they took a tournament format and tried to turn it into ranked mode. And I think they completely missed the mark on it. When you're doing stuff like using placement points and like the real high tier in game, like competitive in games to rank players, I don't think you're going to get something that's a good end product for everybody. Because as it stands right now, Division 7 is where it's at. If you're in Division 7, that's where you're always going to, maybe they'll add more divisions later on. But right now, no matter how high you get into points, apparently you're always ranked against Division 7 players. And like the Flood says, it really doesn't. You can get into Division 6 and probably Division 7 if you really want it by just camping and just staying there. Like Strafesh0t was talking about, just sitting in a bush or sitting in a structure will get you there. This is not ranking players' skills whatsoever. I don't know how you do that, but there needs to be a system found where you can actually figure out someone's skill. I don't know if that's, if you put more of an emphasis on kills, if you kind of take into consideration their accuracy over the entire game and put that into the ranking formula, but there needs to be a system to actually rank players because this is just a tournament format that has been downscaled and given divisions. And I think it's absolutely boring because I am in a place where I'm sitting in 10-minute queues and I'm not even Division 7 yet. I'm sitting in 10-minute queues. And then I have to run around, and to get higher and climb to the next division, I have to like kind of camp around and just, hide out and dodge people for 10 to 15 minutes to get to the end game just to play a pretty laggy, low performance 5-minute end game. And as a casual, like slightly more serious and casual player, I'm bored. I'm bored out of my mind, dude. I am bored out of my mind playing the ranked mode, and I don't want to do it more than 2 or 3 hours a day, but here I am. I have to because that's the only fun Fortnite that's left.
Well, they can help. They can make a difference with it. It's just all about tweaking values and formats, man. I mean, they do drastic changes instead of just minor changes. Instead of just making it, instead of 1 point per elim, 1 point per 2. Like, they don't like to change minor things and keep trying and keep tweaking. They like to just throw out the old format and just throw in a completely different system. Like, they don't want to just make little changes. They always have to make these drastic changes, and that's why we'll never be happy. It's like it feels like they just don't even try tuning. And it wouldn't be hard. I mean, all they got to do is make it, instead of top 25, it should just be top 12. They should add more value to the placement points themselves. Instead of getting 3, maybe you get 5 points. I think to lower the aggression, down, they can, instead of that 1 point per kill, it should be 1 point per, 2 people you kill in duos. I think it's fine in solos, 1 point per kill. I think that's fine. But placement should be valued higher, and it shouldn't be at top 25. It should be at top 12. And then same for duos. It should be 1 point per 2. And then, because technically killing one team should give you a point. And then placement should be at the top 12 as well. And then they also need to make that gap with the divisions a much, much bigger. And there should be bus fare on every single division. There shouldn't just be a free no bus fare up until, was it like D4 or something like that the bus fare kicks in. That shouldn't even be a thing because like eventually every single person in the world is going to be D4 at least. And then it's like, then you're only 3 divisions away from champ. And how does that separate the top of the top from that? It doesn't. Like, it's really not that different. And the games are honestly played out pretty much the same. Like D4, 5, 6, 7, there's barely any difference. I've had so many games in the champ division where there's like 15 people moving circle. That's horrible. You jump pad, you're dead. You rift, you're dead. You're like, you got no one else to shift the focus. In custom games, moving circle, you still have like 50 people. It's insane. It's intense. You can use other people's builds. It's actually almost easier in custom games. Crazy enough.
That's interesting. Yeah. I have been punished for my rift, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yep. Because there's not enough people on the map.
I need to do something. I don't know what else to do, and then I just get beamed.
There have been times where I'm sitting in the arena mode and I'm getting like lasered by or focused by like five teams or 5 people. I'm like, how is no one else getting punished for like having this big ass window open, dude? Like, how is this going on? And it is from the skirmish I've played in and from what I've watched competitively, I'm like, this just isn't the same. It is not the same.
I would love to see us all make, and I would use the term gentleman's agreement, but let's just like humans agreement. Can we all just start shooting the balls too? They die so easily if we would all just shoot the balls. If you see someone shooting a ball, don't shoot them, shoot the ball with them. Can we all just make that agreement as humans?
Oh, I love the clip I saw of Tfue. He in one of these games, he had like, there was like 8 ballers just rolling around below him, and he kept the disco bombs, the boogie bombs until the end. And he boogie bombed like 8 people and RPG'd everyone. He boogie bombed them out and got them. I was like, oh man, that's so satisfying to watch.
That's amazing.
That's the hero,
and that's why he is who he is. That's why he's got the status he's got, man. Like that right there, that earns it.
I would say for arena mode, man, I really think they need to change the actual format of the game. They need to not just have Siphon. I really think I would like to see something like Blitz played out in arena mode, where that
I heard you say that on stream.
yeah,
I think that's smart.
That long ass window in competitive where it's kind of boring, where you drop on a POI. If someone drops with you, it's fun. You can fight them, right? And then you're just looting up for like 10 minutes. I don't think that is incredibly enjoyable for anybody. It's necessary, so we do it. Some people may like really get the rocks off, like min-maxing, farming the area and stuff. But I would love to see a Blitz mode where we take that initial period, move it down to like a 5-minute intro for the game, and then we play out the game with a better loot pool too, so we're not like scrambling for good loot.
Yeah, I think like Blitz mode was actually a probably one of the most favorite LTMs, at least of mine, that came out, and a lot of everyone I talked to loved Blitz. Everyone loved it, but everything we love just gets thrown in a trash can, so that doesn't come around anymore. So Blitz isn't around, but we actually ran Blitz scrims. I don't know if anyone knew that, but we did.
Yeah,
we ran in the pro community, and that was so much fun. It was wild. I think because the Blitz settings, it's not the loot also is not really adjusted, so the RNG of what you get out of chests or floor spawns and stuff like that is still a mess because you have to go so far to get this chest and that chest. So if they had changed the floor loot spawns instead of I turn a corner, go around this into this room, and there's just heavy ammo and light ammo there needs to be a gun, and there should be
a pistol in every roof of every house. Just
like, there's got to be a weapon,
just a great pistol.
And it should be more common, and I think the quality of loot should also be flatlined as well when it comes to competitive. I don't think there should be, gray, blue, purple, legendary. I think it should just be one color. Choose. I don't care. Choose as long as everyone's on the same field.
On St. Pass Day, did you play the all green mode?
I didn't play it.
It was some of the funnest Fortnite I've played because everyone just had green loot. That was it. Like, everyone was kind of on the same playing field when it came to loot. It was a lot of fun to play.
Green AR, green pump.
Yeah.
Did they have the auto sniper back for green? No.
I don't remember if it was auto sniper, but, it just...
Did have hunting rifle, I guess.
Hunting rifle, the green SMG, the silenced one,
Yeah.
It was
That's
fun.
actually a pretty even field, yeah.
Fortnite has been suffering from power creep for quite some time. And so, like Strafe said, when you flatline it, you're taking out the heavy sniper rifle, the P90s, just things that, that are going to laser you and just completely destroy your health. And everyone just a little bit lower, it's kind of funner.
Yeah. And then there's not such an advantage for some people. Like if I drop and I get a pump and you drop and you got a flintlock, like who's gonna win?
Yep, exactly. And I think the thing with like the Blitz mode, like I was talking about, I think even Epic knows at the beginning of the game competitively is really boring because when if you watch like the Lux Cup coverage on the Fortnite channel, they don't start the games until like the final 30 people. And they jump from game to game after the initial looting phase is over with because it's boring. And I don't know, as a spectator, how they're going to get that done in the World Cup when there are going to be a lot more eyes on competitive Fortnite than ever been because news organizations are going to cover this because there's so much money out. It's going to be a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the World Cup, though, before we get out of here. The World Cup, the way it qualifies, Strafesh0t, I don't even think I understand it completely. Can you lay out for people how to qualify for the World Cup and kind of what your thoughts are on the process?
Well, from what I understand, you're going to be like this arena matters. Being in the champ division matters is what qualifies you. And then there's going to be these stages of these weekend cups that keeps advancing you to the next round that you need to either place at a certain level or you need to do well in them. So I think like these cups are very important you have to place in them and you have to be in champ division to keep qualifying and keep advancing to the next round. And as they start to diminish the pool of players from week to week, then they choose right before the World Cup, it'll come down to the last few teams that are going to be selected for it. So I don't even like 120% really know. I'm just going to every week put in all the effort that I can to play.
Yeah. So my thing is like,
can.
Yeah. So like arena allows you to qualify, for example, like the warm up cup this weekend. And if you do well in the warm up cup, that gets you into the next week's thing, I think is how that works. That's kind of my understanding as well. I think I'm with you.
So we're going through open qualifiers to get into the World Cup. Flood, as like a spectator, and what do you think how do you feel about open qualifiers in terms of like professional setting as somebody who has a chance to qualify and, will likely be watching it, if not playing in it.
That was very generous of you. I saw your face, though. I saw your face, Drnkie. It's cool, bud. I'm down with open qualifiers. I like the idea of that, and I feel like that's always been prevalent in Fortnite, is that any kid anywhere can kill Ninja. That was like the season 1 mentality. You know what I mean? Like he's the big dog at the time, and any kid anywhere could snipe him in the head and feel great about themselves. And I feel like this kind of continues on, where it's the fellow who showed up at, what was it, PAX or whatever, and was able to win the grand tournament. Like, I like the idea that anyone can do it. There's something kind of cool about that. You know that it's eventually going to be dominated by all the pros anyway, but anyone could sneak in there if they're busy practicing at home and get there. There's something inherently great about that, and eventually it gets whittled down. So, maybe you'll have limited interest in watching in the beginning, but it'll sort of ramp up because it's getting hotter and hotter competition wise. That can be exciting. I'm into it. I like the idea that it's open. I think that's fun.
What about you, Strafesh0t?
I think open qualifiers are fine until a certain point where it needs to be custom qualifiers. I think that this open qualifier stuff in the beginning, every pro's going to get through it. The first few stages, every pro's going to keep advancing on, and maybe even some of like the casuals that aren't maybe as known, or maybe not even just like casuals, but the people that do put in time that maybe just aren't on the pro level, but like they still have the ability to like put up somewhat of a little bit of a scrap, So I think like it's fine. They could play in it. I mean, that's part of the draw. That's what's going to bring in a bigger audience, and that's what's going to make it exciting for other people. But in the end, it cannot continue forward with open qualifiers. At a certain stage, it needs to come down to customs, and the formats need to be adjusted appropriately. And it just I don't know. I think that it's okay up until a certain point, and they need to change it eventually. Like winter qualifiers were open, and then once they got to a certain stage, they ran customs, and I think that was great. I think that was a much better system than what they have right now, and they threw that away.
That makes sense
like that, so that was gone.
Yeah. For me, I kind of look at this as like a spectator completely, because I have like a shot in the dark at getting into the World Cup. I know there are players who dedicated way more time than me to, really like locking in their aim, hammering out their builds and their edits and stuff. And I just know I'm going to be a spectator throughout this process. And for me, like the way Fortnite competitive has gone so far, it's kind of a letdown when compared to other esports. Because I don't think that they have been building storylines. I think they really want this idea of the individual to be, prominent in their competitive scene. And so you have 100 players every match. And honestly, I don't really know who too many of them are when I'm watching these things on their Fortnite channel. I look at League of Legends and the LCS as a great example of how to bust into the esports scene and really promote a scene that's going to build upon itself. And you do that by like building storylines. I think having open qualifiers that lead into a World Cup just kind of feels like I don't know who's who. I got no one to root for. And I wish they would do a system where they embrace the competitive organizations like Liquid and FaZe and TSM, and they allot a certain amount of spots to those organizations. So whether they have like 3 spots or 4 spots, so you'll always have a set amount of the same people in. So as a spectator, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to watch Strafesh0t this weekend. I know he's going to be there. This is going to be fun. I know that Myth is going to be there. I know that personality. I know that storyline. He's a good player. And then still have 20 to 30 open spots where anybody can qualify for those. I would love a system like that, so that every week I go in knowing some people, and then there's an outlier who might, Tommy Beast L2 might be the one blowing up that week. And I'm like, that's exciting. But watching right now, I'm like, I really don't know who these players are. I don't think they have spent the time building up people who are going to be the competitors. Like, I think the most known unknown is probably Bizzle, because he wins so much, but I've never really followed him. He's not like a massive personality outside of the competitive Fortnite scene. Like if you're inside of that scene, you know he is, but if you're on the peripherals, you know him by name, but you don't know much about his story. And this is like one of the only dudes they've highlighted on their broadcast.
Yeah. And it's because of his choices as well, though. That guy is just a workaholic. He's a workhorse. He doesn't care about having a camera on him. He doesn't care about a spotlight. What he cares about is winning. And that guy dedicates everything. He's just in customs, or he's in creative, or he's build battling, or he's looking for the next level strategy. He's studying. The guy never stops working. I'm pretty sure he doesn't sleep.
That's awesome. Good for him, though. Like, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
And you want to see that rewarded. That's awesome.
I just wish I would know more of the players, because I see who's qualifying every weekend, like putting up like it's an animal, an aspect, and all these. I wish I knew more about them, and I wish Fortnite would spend more time building these players up to the community. And like, I want to root for Michael Jordan. I want to know who the LeBrons are. Like, dude, I want to know these people.
You want those HBO boxing hype videos, honestly. Like, that's what you want. Or you want to turn it in more into wrestling. I've said this before. Like, this is where the sport could really like be glorified in terms of viewership, is make it more like wrestling. I remember in one of the skirmishes with like the Nick Merckx Aiden like that was always like that rivalry was wonderful to watch. Like, there was just something charming about it because it was about their personalities, not just their Fortnite playing. So it becomes you want to tune in to see who's winning Tilted Towers that week. I don't know. There's something about that that's exciting. And I'm sure that like real pros probably cringe, but like they become part of that too, though. You know what I mean? Like the real serious guys become, they delve in and become that element of it, as opposed to just the show off characters, and they'll probably win more. So it all works out in the end anyway, and it becomes more exciting as a viewer.
Yeah, absolutely.
But highlight Bizzle, like I just heard about like what you just said, Strafe. That was freaking enlightening, and now I'm really more interested in it. Like, but we need to know that as viewers, right? Like that needs to be shown. Like someone needs to do a like behind the scenes Bizzle, like, you know, I don't know. I don't know how you do that with this at this scale, but it would be so interesting.
I mean, it's common with us gamers, man. You know, most of us are introverts. You know, we're not the like, 100%. You know, we're not always. A lot of us are shy, or a lot of the community is shy. They don't want to be in a camera. They don't want to be on stream. They don't want to also reveal their strats, their thoughts. They don't want to give anyone else, you know, the information that they found. And you know, they're playing their cards close to their chest because they're a competitor to the core. They don't care about the casual, you know. They just want to fight. They want to win. They're there to win. That's all they're there to do. There's nothing else in it. They don't want to have. They want to have fun, but not in that kind of sense. They, you know, their fun is winning. So
100%.
So you think they're a bit upset that Epic released the replays for the Lux Cup when they played offline, off stream?
Oh, that 100%, 100%. That was like dude. The discords, all like the competitive discords were just in shambles. Everyone's like, "What is going on?"
Yeah,
that's so funny.
I don't think Fortnite has, or Epic has, earned the World Cup tournament yet, honestly. Because leading up to other esports like World Cup, there are a series, and more than 2 weekends. There are year-long like expeditions every weekend where we lead up to the World Cup, and it's a big thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, here's arena mode. Here's 2 big tournaments that you can play in the open qual or on the weekends. That's open to everybody. And now here's the World Cup. And it's like sprung on me. I'm like, all right, I guess I care about it because I'm an American. I love money, and I love seeing money given away. It's exciting to me. But
as a Canadian, I'm into it.
Canadian. Yeah. It's
quite
a Western thing,
you know,
but just as like, as like esports, I'm just like, I don't know if it's there yet. I just don't know if the scene's there yet. And I don't think Epic's like built it up week to week to week to get to this point. Because they do really good LAN tournaments, like all the TwitchCon stuff, the pack, like those were great to watch. But those just kind of, we had a secret skirmish, which was in person, and that was it. And it just feels weird that we're at this point already. And I don't know more of the, I don't really know who's in the competitive scene outside of maybe like 10 to 20 people. And I'm someone who kind of pays attention. I'm not, you know, my head's not in the sand. You know, I watch these tournaments. I read, you know, Twitter all the time. Like, there are so many unknown pro players who are going to have big moments. And I wish that we would have gotten to know. I don't feel like we're at the World Cup, and then now we're here though.
You want to care about it, but it's easier to care when you've got a little more exposure to them, or more exposure to that scene. I agree. Like week to week, I recognize him. He won that one a couple weeks ago. Let's see if he wins this. Like, yeah, exactly. I hope they can find a way, because man, like it would be so much fun. And again, as you say, the in-person stuff was a blast to watch.
Yeah. All right, Shots, any final thoughts on Fortnite at all, or where we are competitively before we get out of here for the day?
Yeah, I think we're in the dark ages, as what I call this period. This is the dark ages. It can't get worse. We think, but it actually can. In my opinion, it can get worse. I for some reason have like this terrible knot in my stomach. I feel like they're going to, like they did it to us once before, and I feel like it's coming again because of the stretch resolution thing. I feel like they're gonna force everyone on all epic settings, like console stuck on. I feel like they're gonna throw us back on shadows. They're gonna throw us back on everything again, dude.
I don't think they could with the FPS issues they're having.
I don't know, man.
they if they cared about FPS, we wouldn't be on native. I mean, that's already a mess. And you know what sucks is that everyone says, oh, it's a World Cup. I'm done. This is it. I'm over this game. I'm at my end. Yeah, everyone says they're quitting. I promise you, they ain't quitting because right now, Fortnite has all the leverage in the world because they're like, here's money, and you know that's the one undeniable factor in all this is the money, and no one's gonna put this much time in at this point and then turn around and say, "Nah, screw it."
Exactly. How many guys are boycotting these changes? None.
Yeah.
They're gonna keep going,
You know?
and we're gonna fight through this pain, and then when it's done, everyone's gonna flame and be mad and say, "Oh, screw this and that," and then you know what they're gonna do to keep that player base? Here is everything that we did wrong. Here we're reverting all the changes. Come back to us. And
I want to see reverted
exactly
planes in the middle of the cup. That's what I want to see.
That's how they're going to keep their player base, though. You know, that's how they do it. They know that they got us by the money, so that we're stuck. And then after we're done with this World Cup and they know we're upset and want to leave, they're going to be like, oh, well, here you go. Here's Siphon back. Here's all your stretch resolution can come back. Here's this. We're making these changes. So we'll communicate. And, you know, they'll use that line again. And, you know, all this stuff. So, like, no one's going anywhere. We're just gonna keep going around in this. They got us in a blender on pulse mode.
We're addicted. Like, there's no Fortnite Anonymous to help us get off of this stuff. Like, everyone's addicted. We're all gonna play. There's more money at the end of the tunnel. You're completely
the reality is there's no alternative either, right? Like, there's no game out there that I like better than Fortnite.
Right.
That's the problem.
And Apex was the hitter. I loved it, but yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But like, and then you know, it's just like, they could have definitely capitalized on it, and they did it. So it's like crazy that there is no other title out there, you know. And Apex had the biggest shot, and I feel like they missed it. But who knows, man? Maybe there's another what they call an ambush release title that comes out that's just amazing. And I am praying to 343 Studios every morning. I am just praying that they drop Halo, and it is just next level, and everyone runs to it. Man, I don't. Please,
it's gonna have to not only, but the other thing about it is it's gonna have to not only be next level, it's gonna have to stay next level. No one iterates as fast as Fortnite, and that's what keeps us going. Like, we've only had Arena for a week, guys. Look at how much we just talked about it. Like, it's been around for a year. It's been a week.
Yeah, it's insane.
All right, I think we'll leave it there. That's episode 32 of the Fortnite Update. Our guest, Liquid Strafesh0t. Where can everyone find you, Strafesh0t?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and on Twitch. You just look up Strafesh0t and you're going to find me. I'm there.
All right. Twitch.tv/Strafesh0t with the 0 instead of an O. You can find me, Drnkie, on Twitch.tv and my co-host, The Flood.
Twitch.tv/The Flood.
All right. We'll see you guys next week for episode 33 of the Fortnite Update. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.